to have some LGBT candidates participate in politics is really important to LGBT community.
Is it guaranteed that we are going to continue in this direction?
No, nothing probably will be guaranteed. Taiwan Equality Campaign invite Hotline and the other two organizations to finish the first LGBTI inclusive policy white paper.
Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Divya Gopalan. What happens if we pick the wrong person? As Taiwan heads to the polls, that's a question we're hearing more and more in the discourse around LGBTQ+ equality. During outgoing President Tsai Ing-wen's 2 terms, activists say there was huge progress in the fight for equal rights. But they also say there's a lot further to go. So, to examine the issues important to the LGBTQ+ community during and after this presidential election cycle, we're joined by Joyce Teng, Executive Director for the Taiwan Equality Campaign, and Sean Sih Cheng, Secretary General for Taiwan Tongzhi Hotline Association. Thank you both so much for being on the program. Let me start with you, Joyce. The Taiwan Equality Campaign has created a platform called Pride Watch, and I understand that's also part of the ecosystem of what you do. Can you explain what that is?
Pride Watch is a voters' guideline, especially on gender issue and LGBTI inclusive issues. And how we operate that is that we will invite candidates to fill out some questionnaire. It's very simple to stand up for showing they support LGBTI issues. They will keep focus on those policies, and they will never use any discriminative language during the election. And if they say so, we will put them on our map, which will look like a Taiwan's map, and we will paint them on their district. So to show those friendly candidates to the voters, for us it's a voters' guideline, but also a campaign to change the political society.
Sounds like a fantastic resource. And as we go on throughout this program, I want to talk more about the points you have made about awareness and also getting the politicians to think about these issues. Before we go to that, Sean, you've been working with Hotline for about 20 years. Can you first give us a brief overview of what Hotline does and how it has helped bring issues to the forefront, especially during presidential elections or even local elections?
Yeah, so hi Divya and hi everyone. So my name is Sean Sih Cheng. I'm now the Secretary General of Taiwan Tongzhi Association. So Tongzhi Hotline was founded in 1998. It's the first national LGBTQ organization in Taiwan. And we grew up as a grassroots self-supported organization for LGBT community. And so during our services to LGBT, we just found out that there are many needs that need to be done through education and advocacy. So we developed our work into different working groups. So now our work includes social services to LGBT and their family members, and social education, and also advocacy work to amend or amend the LGBT-related policies and regulations.
Right, and bringing it back to politics, what would you say, Joyce, is the stance of the different parties that are the main parties that are contesting these presidential elections when it comes to LGBTQ+ issues?
Before, actually, we rarely see those political parties. They will have this kind of policies when they doing the election campaign. This year, we're trying to change this situation. So Taiwan Equality Campaign invite Hotline and the other two organizations to finish the first LGBTI inclusive policy white paper. So we bring this white paper to the different major parties to invite them to also have their policy making on LGBTI friendly issues. So for what we can see now, for example, on Pride Watch, you can see both like DPP and TPP's presidential candidates brought up their policy making or statement about gender issue, about LGBTI inclusive, think about this kind of issue and make very specific what kind of policy they will push after they got elected.
Right, and for our viewers, the DPP is the current ruling party, the KMT is the major opposition party. Bringing back to you, Sean, can you tell us a little bit more about this white paper? I understand you've also been working on it.
So yeah, as Joyce mentioned, so this white paper was done by like 4 LGBT and gender organizations. So many people think that like Taiwan has legalized same-sex marriage since 2019. So many people think that you already achieved like equality for LGBT, but that's not the truth. Actually, so we found out that there are many issues still need to be dealt with within the Taiwan LGBT community. So in this white paper, actually it includes like 5 aspects of LGBT lives, like education, workplace, intimacy, relationship and family, health and social welfare, and society and politics engagement. So it includes about many issues, like some issues that still need to be done for marriage equality, like the right to use reproductive technology and like equality law and the implementation of gender equity education and the long-term care and also like the rights for transgender people. So we hope that like the presidential candidates, the political party, and also the legislative candidate, they can use this white paper. They can take a look and to use this to make their like policies more LGBT inclusive.
So what's interesting here, and perhaps a little bit troubling, despite Taiwan's openness and perhaps being one of the most progressive places in the region when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues, in this year's general election, all 113 seats of the legislature are being contested. And of the 505 registered candidates, only 7 are openly LGBTQ plus. So I need to ask you, Joyce, what does this say to you about the political and social climate for the LGBTQ plus community?
Actually, previously, you can see like the openly lesbian candidate, Miao Boya. She's now the first lesbian consular in our country, and there are some other opponent and from the other political party trying to make that she's not girly enough, so people shouldn't vote for her. So this kind of attack still exists in Taiwan's political environment. I think that's also show how difficult for the LGBTI community when they want to step into politics, they want to devote themselves into public interest. It's difficult to reveal themselves as an LGBTI member. So when they reveal, they might face the attack what Miao faced right now. So the things we are thinking, we also heard some very friendly counselor told us that it's their supporter stop them to come out to be themselves because it might affect their election.
So let me bring Sean in here then. Sean, Joyce talked about the fact that it's also the voter base that are conservative or perhaps stopping people from coming out, politicians from coming out and being open about their identity and their LGBTQI plus representation. What do you think is lacking here in society? Like, why do you think this is affecting politics so much?
I think for candidates and their some of their like supporters, they are still worried about if an LGBT candidate come out publicly, they will he or she will lose votes. Yeah. So I think we still need to do more to the whole society to understand about your your professions. It's not related to your sexual orientation or gender identity. Actually, straight people, LGBT people, we can all become very successful and professional politicians.
All right, I want to put some numbers to it. Let's compare overall LGBTQ plus representation in politics in the United States and Taiwan. According to LGBTQ plus Victory Institute's Out for America report, as of 2023, there were a total of 1,185 openly LGBTQ plus elected officials in the US. So that makes up just about 0.23%. In the 2022 local elections in Taiwan, however, there were only 3 openly LGBTQ plus officials elected. That's a sum that represents, wait for it, less than 0.0003% of all positions up for elections. That's a lot of zeros. That's nearly 1,000 times less than total representation across the US. So Joyce, I understand that you are particularly concerned about this. What does that say to you? And how much of a concern is this lack of diversity within the political system, especially when you're trying to push through policies?
Yes. When we're doing the marriage equality campaign, when we're trying to push this kind of policy, we always need to bring our LGBTI members to convince those legislators, and they might ask different questions about, oh, so you can really get married, so you can really have a family. How would your family feel? I think if some LGBTI members be in the parliament, they will be their colleagues, so they can reveal more about. They can educate their colleagues about how LGBTI community is. That's one of our thoughts. So also maybe when we trying to push this kind of policy or trying to advocate for any law related to LGBTI members, they won't say, oh, it's just minority in the country. We don't know any LGBTI people, so I don't really see the needs of this act. So if there will be some members who can speak up for LGBTI policies, and also if they really exist openly in the parliament, and it will be helpful for us to advocate this kind of issue, explain this kind of issue, because they have colleagues who are from the community.
I just want to add some points. So yeah, like Joyce mentioned, I think to have some LGBT candidates participate in politics is really important to LGBT community. Of course, we also need LGBT friendly legislators and politicians. Yeah, and Joyce mentioned that Miao Boya, Huang Jie, they are very important figures to LGBT youth. And also we have Audrey Tang, who is our Minister of without portfolio, and she's the first openly transgender woman in a very high position in the government, and she just showed to the society that okay, so yeah, transgender people, we can also devote ourselves into politics. We can devote our professionals to the society, and I think that's also changed about general public's ideas about or the stereotypes to transgender people.
Now, we've spoken about several times about Taiwan being perhaps a leader in Asia when it comes to LGBTQ plus equality. So before we go, I want to look at the milestones in the equal rights movement here. Brian Cragen looked at some of the key developments over the past 2 decades.
Taiwan held its first LGBT+ Pride in 2003, with around 800 people taking to the streets of Taipei. In 2007 and 2008, 2 laws were amended, banning, for the first time, discrimination based on sexual orientation in the workplace. Another 3 years later, LGBTQ+ topics were introduced in school curriculums across Taiwan. In 2017, a judicial review deemed same-sex marriage prohibition unconstitutional, in one of the biggest steps towards equality for the LGBTQ+ community. This required the law to be amended within 3 years. But in 2018, voters rejected legalizing same-sex marriage in a series of referendums. That didn't stop lawmakers from approving a bill the following year, though, which made Taiwan the first place in Asia to make same-sex marriage legal. More headway was made toward equal rights in 2023. Same-sex marriage was authorized for transnational couples. Previously, a Taiwanese citizen could only tie the knot with a partner whose home country recognized same-sex unions. There were 2 other major developments last year. Adoption rights were given to same-sex couples, and the Domestic Violence Prevention Act was amended to afford all couples the same protections.
So Sean, we talk about, if you look at those milestones, one key issue that, or perhaps a date and time that jumped out at me, was the fact that there was a referendum before same-sex marriage was passed. And that referendum very loudly called against same-sex unions. So, but yet it was passed the following year. So tell me the significance of that, of the fact that politicians still pushed it through, and how important that is despite these referendums, and kind of what took place during that time.
Okay, so actually, 2018 was a very, how should I say, like very sad year for LGBT community in Taiwan. So in that year, we have referendums which are against LGBT education and also like same-sex marriage. So in that year, we have 10 referendums, and 5 among them are about LGBT. So you can see that there are many referendums. And in that year, so because there are so many referendums, so both the supporters of LGBT and also the anti-LGBT groups have a lot of work to do in that year. And for LGBT community, actually, we face a lot of disinformation and like fake news about LGBT, about same-sex marriage, about gender equity education, and about HIV, which all try to attack LGBT and let the whole society to stop supporting us. Yeah, and for LGBT people, actually, every day we just saw that there are a lot of this disinformation in just traditional mass media and also on like social media. So politics is really important. It will affect LGBT people's life, and also how we can like fight against the disinformation is also another important lesson that we have learned from this campaign.
Indeed, a very, very important point. And Joyce, then I bring it to you. You know, we went through those milestones. Mm-hmm. Does this guarantee that in the future politicians will be building on these milestones?
So, for example, this year we can see some political party, they trying to make transgender issue as the main topic, even though Taiwan government and the civil society already discussed about transgender issue, transgender rights for many years, but they still keep doing some misinformation, spreading, call transgender issue like transgender women, they're actually, they keep saying they're actually men, they're just trying to invade women, to pretend they're women to get into women's space. This kind of false information are so wrong and so not true transgender person's life stories. So these kind of things also make an impact to the society and also to the political environment. So in the future, we can also estimate that it would be more difficult or more challenged when we trying to push forward on transgender rights issues, no matter in the parliament or open more discussion with the government. So I think like politics, nothing probably will be guaranteed.
Yeah, knowledge is power, definitely. I'm afraid we're running out of time here, but before you go, I want to bring you this very touching story of the writer Chi Shin-yi. Through her lens, we trace the 30-year evolution of Taiwan's LGBTQ+ movement.
枪弹从他口腔穿过后脑，把他的脸炸开了花。你们有看白先勇的《镊子》吗？《镊子》里面是不是有一个将军的儿子在部队里面自杀？他非常的优秀，然后可是他被发现他是同志之后，然后他就在部队引枪自杀。你们知道那个人的主角是谁吗？那个主角是我叔叔。我自己其实，在高中的时候就喜欢我的同班同学，我是念女校，我现在已经50岁了。当时1990年代同志是没有办法 out， 如果你让你的家人知道你是同志，你就会被逐出家门；如果你让你的同事知道你是同志，你可能会失去你的工作。我弟也知道这些事情，我弟就跑去跟我爸告状，然后我爸就说：“那有什么关系？就是他喜欢女生，又有什么关系呢？就他还是我的小孩啊。”所以我爸是非常开明的。那时候我17岁嘛，大概10年后，我才知道为什么我的父系家族的人这么快就接受我是同志。是左边这个，对，这应该是我三叔吧？有没有很帅？我叔叔在民国60年代，我还幼稚园的时候。被发现他是同志，但他其实是一个非常非常优秀的人。他是总统府宪兵队的队长，他的同志身份在军中曝光了，所以后来他就举枪自尽了，就是《镊子》里面写的那个情节。所以对我爸来说，是同志小孩一点问题都没有，重点是你要好好的活下来。所以我奶奶也很快就接受我。可是我后来才知道，因为我奶奶失去过一个小孩，她不能再失去第二个。我觉得这件事情对我投入同志运动有很大的影响。对，这本书是南念出版的，看一下。说好一起老这本书其实是记录我太太得了乳癌，然后一对同志伴侣在同婚没有合法以前要如何面对医疗问题。我们去和信做出诊断的时候，他就问说：“哦，那你是跟谁住这样子？然后你是独居吗？还是跟家人住？”然后我太太就说：“哦，我跟我朋友住，我跟他住。”然后我就还马上说：“我们是很好的朋友。”还要这样讲，因为这是2013年的时候，我怎么可能说我是他太太或女朋友？我们其实已经在一起13年了，而且我们住在一起13年。结果那个护士就说：“哦，那你是独居。”怎么可能是独居？他明明就跟我住，可是你说不出口。只要同婚没有通过，我们就是法律定义的陌生人。我记得我出版《说好一起老》的时候，做了很多的演讲。那有一次，我就邀请我姑姑跟我妈妈来听我演讲。然后我的妈妈跟我妈年纪差不多，她就问了一个问题，说：“你们都说要做自己，可是你们没有想过，你们做自己，你们做同志会伤父母的心？”因为我姑姑跟我妈妈坐在台下，所以我就没有多说什么。可是其实我真心想跟那个妈妈说的是，如果让我奶奶再选一次，我奶奶会要一个活着的同志小孩，不会要一个死去的异性恋的儿子。同婚运动并不是2015年、2016年突然爆出来的，不是，从1990年代的我们之间开始，台湾就一直在做同志运动了。那只是那是一个比较安静的晋升的年代。我们可以走到今天，我们要感谢很多的人，他们都已经不在了。 我们要感谢那些在台湾同志运动还这么灰暗的年代就走出来的人，是这些已经不在的人成就了我们今天站在这里。Thank you. 你要说同婚过后有什么惊天动地的什么事情，我觉得都不是。美好的是，我生活在一个同志也被爱的国家，这件事情很美好。
And you can watch the full version of Chirshini's story on our website or YouTube channel. I'm afraid we've run out of time here, but thank you both so much. Sean Du with the Taiwan Tongzhi Hotline Association and Joyce Teng with Taiwan Equality Campaign. Thank you both so much for being part of the program. It's been great to have your thoughts. And of course, to our viewers everywhere, it's been good to have your company. If you have anything you'd like to add to today's dialogue, do join the conversation on our social media. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay connected.